And so he has changed and adapted to the changes in how the league has been played and how Greg Popovich has wanted him to play.
Sports Nation is presented by Toyota.
Welcome to Sports Nation. I'm Marcel Swally. That's Max Kellerman. Michelle Beadle is taking the day off to pay her respects to the one Tim Duncan in his great career, and also working on something special for you, Max Kellerman.
For me?
That's right, man, because news is out. Max Kellerman is headed to First Take.
Yes, I am.
Congrats, big dog.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
How you feel about it for real? Don't tell everybody else, but just me and you talking.
Well, Marcellus, I was going to continue doing the show with you, of course, on TV and the radio, but frankly, you've gained too much weight.
That's how you're going to go?
It's just not a good look.
Okay, well, congrats, Kevin Durant looking butt. All right, let's talk some hoops right now with End of an Era sellout. The Spurs announced Duncan's retirement earlier today in a news release. Duncan played 19 seasons, all with the Spurs, won 5 titles and 2 MVP awards. Max, what will Duncan's legacy be?
Well, everyone today is going to try to paint it as, you know, he's the nice guy, the unassuming superstar. When Kobe took the entire farewell tour and was feted by all the organizations and giving gifts and talked about how great he was ad nauseum, even as he was kind of sinking the Lakers' fortunes that year because he wasn't good anymore. Tim Duncan just quietly went about his business, even in decline, was still an important piece of a 67-win team, and then when no one was looking, quietly went away. And so they will, a lot of talk will be that that's his legacy, the gentleman, unassuming superstar. But I think it pays short shrift to Duncan's actual effectiveness. When you talk about the greatest players in the history of basketball, Duncan is right there. He won 5 championships. He did it as the best player on the team every time. And when you talk about the greatest players ever, he's on that list. He's one of the biggest winners. Jim Lampley tells me, who watched Bill Russell play and is considered by the old-timers the best pre-Jordan player by many, the greatest one, the biggest winner, that Tim Duncan was basically a modern-day Bill Russell. Right, and that's about as the highest praise you can get.
Yeah, I mean, this is the very definition of professionalism. Embody everything that you wanted in a player. You talk about consistent excellence. This is what a coach loves. He says, I have a great player who's a great person, who's a great teammate. And that's what Tim Duncan is. So you look in Webster's, the dictionary of professionalism, a guy looking real spacey on the sidelines, that's Tim Duncan, and that's who he was.
Yeah, and all the talk about, well, because he had Popovich his whole career, you know, and so it's not really fair because he had this amazing coach, and there are other players, maybe they would have benefited from being in that kind of situation, and that may be true. But ultimately, you did what you did. And if he was fortunate enough to play under Popovich and that helped him become an even greater player, then that's to Duncan's legacy's benefit.
Yeah.
I don't think you take points away from that.
No, you shouldn't. And now that Kobe and Duncan have officially called it quits, we have to figure out who had the greater career. Max,
yes.
Tim Duncan and Kobe Bryant. Who would you say had the greater career?
Well, and then this is where I sound hypocritical. Because after that whole thing, Duncan's right there with Shaq and Kobe and all these guys, you know. The fact is, if you're forcing me to choose between Kobe and Duncan, I would take Kobe by a hair. And the reason is, I think, assuming there's enough longevity there, when we talk about greatness, we are really talking about the heights you hit.
All right.
And even though Duncan was greater for longer than Kobe, he sustained a level of excellence. Look, not this last year, but 2 years ago in the playoffs, Duncan was a monster. Duncan was winning games both ends of the floor as recently as like 12 months ago, 13 months ago. So he's had that kind of unbroken consistency, as you mentioned, of very high greatness. But Kobe also had a very long career. And when you talk about players you saw with your own eyeballs at their best, it didn't really get high. I mean, Jordan by a little bit. Kobe at his best was such a phenomenal player. It's hard looking at the numbers or looking at it as an older player to even keep in your mind how impressed you were with him in his prime.
Yeah, I think that Kobe Bryant is the answer. It will evoke the response from the fans, from the media, from even his peers, in the sense that he took you on a roller coaster. Greater highs and greater lows. Yep. You think about Kobe Bryant, you think about 5 championships. You think about the 81-point game, but then you think about the lows, Colorado. You think about the lows, clashes with coaches and teammates. But that's what it was. It made you think about this guy in a greater response than in Tim Duncan, who was even kill, a coach's dream, but didn't necessarily get that energy out of it.
When you think about our generation and players who watched Michael Jordan play, everyone was trying to be like Mike. Whole generation of players trying to be like Mike. Kobe puts a 24 on his chest. I don't care what anyone says. We see what 24 means when you're going after 20.
One more than Jordan.
Right, and even though he failed to get there, his reach exceeded his grasp. With a whole generation of millions of people trying to be Mike, he basically achieved it. He's the one that basically did it, which is, like, you're forcing me to choose between Kobe and Duncan. The answer is Kobe.
Our producers are smart. They gave us this question when Beatles out because there's no way she's going to agree with us on this one right here. And
was that your first take? It was excellent. You're doing this? No, this is it.
Don't even bring up first take around here, Kevin. Our Saturday, the Rockets announced that they signed one James Harden to a contract extension worth $118 million, which runs through 2019-2020. During the press conference, Harden was asked about KD's decision to join the Warriors. Harden said, obviously the Warriors are a really good team, but there's only one basketball. You've got to figure it out. Max, your thoughts on Harden's comments?
Harden's telling on himself.
Like what?
He's telling on himself.
How?
This is the issue. This is why Kevin Durant's not still in OKC. And this is the reason. I know they were all young and pre-prime, but they were good enough to get it done. Durant, Westbrook, Harden, and Ibaka, all under 24 years old, and they only got to one finals, and they got done in that finals. Right? They didn't whiff a championship. I mean, why didn't that work out better? Because especially in Westbrook, who I love, and maybe more than anyone, Harden's case, they think like that. There's only one basketball. What's going to happen with Durant? The whole reason he's left now OKC and gone to the Warriors is because that's not the way Durant thinks. He doesn't think there's only one basketball. He thinks the open man takes the shot. Let's make this easy. Harden's game offensively is amazing. But let's be honest, it's dribble, 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 dribble. Wait, see if he can create his own shot. If his shot isn't available, then he passes to a teammate. A lot of time, not a lot of time left on the shot clock and all that.
Right.
And sometimes the case has been that way with Westbrook, and Durant was trying to leave that situation and go to a situation where no matter how many other good players are there, no one cares about that stuff.
Well, if I disagree with you. If I'm James Harden, I'm actually telling on myself, but it's a positive. I'm telling on myself because it's time for me, a competitor, to flip the coin over. Everyone's glowing over this move, saying it's going to work. They're going to be unstoppable. But the reality is there are issues still with this team. You want to talk about the front court, maybe some issues there. You want to talk about the fact that the chemistry has to be established, and it will take time. Let's go back to the Miami Heat when they had their big three in the first year. Not only did they not win it all, but also they had some issues with the chemistry.
That's why they didn't win it all.
Yeah, exactly. LeBron James and Dwayne Wade, both in healthy respect of one another. No one wanted to assert themselves to be the alpha.
Yes.
It's your team. It's your team. And that could happen with Golden State. I can see Clay sitting there saying, hey, work that out, Steph. Work that out, Kevin Durant. And both of those guys not taking the bull by the horns. And then all of a sudden,
that's 100%. I agree with that.
Thank you,
the fact that there could be a chemistry issue, but that's not what Harden's referring to. Harden specifically is referring to the idea that there's only one ball. When you say there's only one ball, it means guys like to hold the ball and guys like to shoot a lot.
But that's part of the chemistry.
But I don't think, yes, there could be chemistry issues. Maybe, as you say, being overly deferential. Here, Steph, you take it. No, here, KD, you take it. But in terms of the other stuff, the ball does not stick with Steph Curry. Of all the superstars who are primary ball handlers, it sticks with James Harden. It sticks with Westbrook. Doesn't stick with Curry. Klay Thompson doesn't stick with Klay. KD doesn't want it to stick with him. Draymond doesn't have to stick with him. So KD is saying, I'm going there to a less talented team than OKC because the ball doesn't stick. It moves.
Yeah, but be careful, Max, because in the moment, no one has an ego. Get them on the court, all of a sudden, it's the same example. There's one arm rest and two elbows. Somebody wants that arm rest, and we're going to
give me that arm rest.
Give me that, and that's what's going to happen. So coming up, Denver Broncos, my team, growing up their offer to one Von Miller, Max, but it wasn't all the way up. Got to see what happens.
What would Fat Joe say?
Fat Joe, how much would they offer him? Nuts.
Sports Nation is presented by Toyota. Let's go places.
It's time for Pulse of the Nation, presented by Toyota. Winner sacrifice. Here's muscle man Eddie Hall getting ready to deadlift over 1,100 pounds. Everything goes well, and then he drops and goes, wait for it. He goes unconscious, Max. But the good news is he was okay.
That can't be good for L45S1, Marcellus.
But was it worth it? That's the question.
No.
No, it wasn't worth it.
I have slipped discs in my back from lifting up a baby seat 5 years ago. I've never been the same.
So you've never lifted up something, struggled with it, and then passed out? That's never happened in your life?
I mean, for a man of my physicality, Marcellus.
I know it hasn't, because you're not an athlete. It's never happened for you. Winner.
Get a machine to lift that.
Moss. Oh, man. What's Moss do? During the Euro Cup final yesterday, Moss took over the pitch. They targeted Cristiano Ronaldo specifically. Must have been girl Moss. Max. Was this Moss attack the most exciting part of the match yesterday?
Did anyone score a goal? Does this have something to do with the World Cup?
Don't do this.
I'm just curious.
Don't do this. I actually watched this, Max. It was a good game.
How was it? What was the score? 1-0, right?
1-0.
Right.
1-0.
How did I know?
Lose
1-0.
Baseball mix. Diamondbacks, Giants from this weekend. Foul ball. And this fan uses her tray of food to try and catch.
Sacrilege, huh, Marcellus?
That's bad. Max, do you admire the effort? I don't.
Yeah, I once cowered in fear as a David Ortiz. I was behind the plate at Yankee Stadium with good seats, and David Ortiz shot ricocheted off the side. I couldn't see it, so I ducked, and it landed right in a cup. Right
in a cup? Did you aim it with the cup?
And then I stood up like I did something. You know what I mean? Like, look at me, I caught it.
Bomb. Winner.
I think J.A. Adonde noticed what happened.
Nostalgia. And to finish the show, one final shout out to Timmy D. What's up, baby? 2001. Rises for this alley-oop. Against the Bucks. Max, did Duncan not get enough credit for his athleticism?
Look, you can't spell Duncan without dunk, am I right?
He was known as the first brother with a high motor. Not athletic, but got a high motor.
That is the only time he dunked in his career. Little known fact.
Yeah, no, that's the only one that actually looked like an athletic dunk. He's dunked before, but it was always the Statue of Liberty dunk.
It's like the Larry Bird skit, right? Remember the Larry Bird skit? Oh, scoring is for show off.
Yeah.
Like he must think that. How often do you remember Tim Duncan skying for a dunk?
He didn't even stick the landing, though. Come on, Duncan. If you're going to get one off like a regular NBA player, you stick the landing.
One of the greatest players who ever lived.
Yeah, by far, man. Top 10 all time?
12.
Top 10. Oh, really? Oh, Duncan, how you feel about being top 12 all time on Max the Chart?
Top 12? What? What does it have to be? It's an arbitrary number, 10.
This how you going to be on First Take, for real? Eddie? Just all vague on the fence like that?
I can't give my best stuff here.
Happy for you, for real.
Thank you, brother.
Go get it, man. That's it from L.A. See you tomorrow.